Welcome to Boy Time Podcast. We're gonna get litty time, yeah. Oh, it's your Boy Time Podcast. Coming in with the slam dunk of a theme song.
Hi ho ho, it's me, Oren Uziel, back at it again with a new episode of the Boy Time Podcast, and as always, joined by Babby. Yes, Paul is gone again today, so direct all of your angry comments to @BoyTimeYT, and I will respond to every single one. I know it's very distressing. I'm very upset. So, but it's fine. We'll carry on without him. His usual monologues will be absent from this week's episode, but that's okay. Yeah. This week we have a pretty exciting week, I would say. We did get a Nintendo Direct. Many of our predictions were actually correct. I was surprised. My big wild card one was not. And my Mario Baseball one was not. But,
unfortunate.
Yeah.
Next time.
I should have guessed Pikmin 4. I forgot Pikmin 4 existed. But yeah. Oops. But we did okay. We did okay with our predictions. I was pretty proud. As I was watching it, I'm like, oh, yep, Babby predicted that. Oh, yeah, I predicted that. So it was pretty fun. Also, we have some Disney news. There's been some interesting developments there. We'll talk about that briefly. We have some Warner Brothers Discovery news. Always love that. And we're going to be talking about a very sad episode of The Last of Us. Because our prediction was true that this was going to be the Sam and Henry episode. And they pulled a bill, and pretty much the whole thing was Sam and Henry. This one had a little bit more Joel involvement, but we'll talk about that later. But suffice to say, we got a packed week here. But we'll start, as always, with gaming. We got the Nintendo Direct. That is pretty much the only thing in gaming this week. But we'll talk about it. They opened the Direct with Pikmin 4. Again, I should have saw this coming. But yes, they opened the thing with Pikmin 4. And it looks pretty good. I haven't really played any of the Pikmin games. I got Pikmin 3 for free. I forgot what they were doing on the Wii U. It was something like if you got Mario 3D World, then you got like a game for free. And it was like a $60 game, which was a surprising promotion. Because like you could get like the Wind Waker HD or Pikmin 3, or I think there was a couple others, but I got Pikmin 3 and I remembered enjoying it. And this one looks pretty solid. I don't know anything about Pikmin, but it looks good. I like the little doggy. I forgot what the dog's name is, but your little Olimar knockoff little guy can have a little dog that runs around with the Pikmin, and that's kind of cute. I am a fan of that. But that game comes out on July 21st of this year, so it's coming up. Shigeru Miyamoto didn't show up with his t-shirt this time, which is a little unfortunate. Shigeru Miyamoto didn't show up at all, actually. He didn't even promote the new movie. We didn't get a new movie trailer this Direct. It's like the first time in a while.
Impossible.
I know. Maybe it's because it's coming out in like 2 months.
Yeah.
I saw, what was it? I saw Jacksepticeye was playing, I think it was Mario Kart. It was with Jack Black, Charlie Day, and was it Anya? No. Who was it? It might have been Anya Taylor-Joy. I don't know. I thought it was there was one woman in the group, and I think is there only one woman in the Mario cast? Is it just Anya Taylor-Joy?
I think so.
Because
I don't
there's
think
no
there's a Daisy casting
yeah.
or anything.
Or who's playing Toadette? Is Toadette in it?
I don't think so.
Oh,
But probably the same. I think all the Toads should just have the same voice.
that would be great if it's all just Keegan-Michael Key.
Yeah.
Would be great. Yeah, it does appear that Anya Taylor-Joy is the only woman in the Mario movie cast. To be expected from a misogynist company like Illumination.
Real.
And I
There
think
wasn't even any lady minions.
no, there are no lady minions. Let me see who it was with. It showed up on Twitter. Let me see if I can pull it up. Oh no, it was not with a woman. It was with Keegan-Michael Key. Oops. I don't know how I got it. I honestly can't see Anya Taylor-Joy playing a video game, so that does track.
Yeah.
I thought it would have been weird if she was in that group.
Yeah, she doesn't strike me as the gamer type. But
No. Neither does Charlie, really.
at least Chris Pratt wasn't there.
Chris Pratt
I
wasn't
feel like he would have
there.
been like saying some very charged things about all the Mario Kart characters. I feel like it would have got pretty heated.
Yeah, he said something recently where it was like, out of all of the cast, I'm probably the most excited to be in this movie, because I've played the most Mario, and it's like Jack Black is right there. He has a
Yeah.
gaming YouTube channel.
And Seth Rogen.
Oh, Seth Rogen for sure. His interview thing that he did on the Direct was like so authentically him. And whenever Chris Pratt talks about it, it seems like he's reading cue cards from behind the camera.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I don't know much about Keegan-Michael Key. I don't know if he's an epic gamer or if this is just a check to him. I'm not sure. But, yeah, the only two I think that would genuinely play video games are Jack Black and Seth Rogen. Because I don't think Charlie's too busy. I don't think he has time.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's like always writing stuff. Like I think he has a movie coming out in May. I think. I forget what it's called. But it's interesting. I watched Pacific Rim and he's in that. It was a little weird seeing him in it because he has like a sleeve of tattoos. Like that. Charlie doesn't have that. Let me see, writer. Oh yeah, Fool's Paradise is what it's called. It's written and directed by Charlie Day, and it's actually Ray Liotta's last movie. So there you go. I just watched the B movie this weekend, and I forgot that Ray Liotta is in that.
He is in that movie.
He plays himself.
Yeah.
For some reason, he's one of the evil honeymen. I don't know if Ray Liotta had a honey company, but you know what? It's there.
He does now.
He does now. I gotta say, this movie's kind of stacked. It's got Ray Liotta, Kate Beckinsale, Jason Bateman, Glenn Howerton, of course, Adrian Brody, Jason Sudeikis, John Malkovich. That's a weird one. Oh, Dean Norris.
Yo.
Dean Norris is gonna be in this movie.
Let's go.
Well, now I gotta go see it. And
Zack Schrader himself.
yeah. Oh, and it's either Eddie or Edie. But that is, I think this is, yeah, it's Carmela Soprano.
Ah.
She's in this. I feel like you never
stacked.
see any of the people from Sopranos
Yeah.
and stuff. So
Well, I think Christopher is in like White Lotus or
he
something.
he is in the new season of White
I saw
Lotus.
people being like when he's like at a basketball game or at like an award show, he's like from White Lotus. I'm like, no, he's
People were
Christopher. He's from The Sopranos.
yeah, he's the Sopranos guy.
Christopher.
I mean, I'm sure he's been getting that for 20 years, so I'm sure it's
Yeah,
nice to
but he's
be from
Christopher.
something else. But yeah. Oh, we were talking about Nintendo Direct. We kind of got off on a little tangent. But yeah, no, he is Christopher. I don't care what anyone else says. I guessed, I forgot what I guessed. I think I guessed new N64 games coming to the Nintendo Switch Online. That is wrong. They're instead adding Game Boy games. So, Game Boy and Game Boy Color games are going to be added to just the regular Nintendo Switch Online subscription. Then to play the Game Boy Advance games, those are going to be in the expansion pack, which I guess makes sense. I was actually, when they were showing them, like it looks like you can like filter the Game Boy games whether you're playing it in a color or what else? There's like a mini one. There's too many Game Boy variations to remember, but they had like all the
Advance.
Game Boy Advance. Yeah, I think those are all the big ones. But they had like all the different filtering options. So if you didn't want to just look at green, then you could do that. Or you can look at green if you want to. I don't know why you would want to, but you could theoretically do that. In terms of original Game Boys being added, it is Tetris, Super Mario Land 2, Link's Awakening, Game & Watch Gallery 3, Metroid 2, Wario Land 3, and Kirby's Dream Land. A lot of these are already on the Nintendo Switch Online, just like the SNES versions or whatever. So there's like a Kirby's Dream Land like Ultimate version that's on there. Super Mario Land 2, that's its own thing. Link's Awakening, they just did that remaster, so I guess you don't have to play the remaster if you don't want to. You can just play it on the original Game Boy, which I've never played the original version. Game Boy Advance games coming. It is going to be Super Mario Advance 4, aka Super Mario Brothers 3, WarioWare Inc., Mega Micro Games, Mario Kart Super Circuit, Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, and Zelda and the Minish Cap, and I'm sure others.
Where's Miss Pac-Man?
Where is Miss Pac-Man?
That's the only game I remember having for the Game Boy Advance.
I don't know. I don't know if they do a whole bunch of third-party games like that. They should.
Yeah, probably not.
Capcom, Pac-Man's in Smash. Let Nintendo put your game on their Game Boy Advance thing. Yeah. Also, I don't know why you would play the Game Boy Advance version of Super Mario Brothers 3 when you can play Super Mario Brothers 3 on the cheaper subscription service on the NES.
It's just not the same, man.
It's not. The advanced version is better because it came out like 5 to 10 years after. But, I mean, you don't have to pay more money to play Super Mario Brothers 3. That's all I'm going to say. Metroid Prime 1 was remastered. It was rumored to have been the case. And that game came out like the same day. Like the direct ended and then it was on the store page later that day. So y'all probably know that this game's already out. I've been seeing stuff about it on Twitter. It looks pretty good. I mean, I feel like sometimes Nintendo, when they do remasters, they just kind of like, it's one of those like quote remasters where they don't really do much. They just kind of port it over. Or they like completely remake it like a Link's Awakening or something like that. But this one looks pretty good. Like I was seeing like the effects because unlike other Metroid games, the Prime series are all first person. So like people were like showcasing like as you're shooting like different weapons, like there's like a reflection of Samus's face that like shows up whenever you shoot, which is pretty cool. I've never seen that in any game where you play a helmeted person. So I thought that was pretty neat. It looks pretty good. It's not like too distracting or anything, but you kind of have to look for it. So it's pretty neat. Looks good. I haven't played any of the Metroid Primes. I know people are excited for Metroid Prime 4, which wasn't shown this direct. At least we got this to tide us over, I guess. So there you go. Metroid Prime fans rejoice. And then the big... Hooray! And then the big thing was that we got another trailer for Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Rest in peace, Queen Elizabeth II. This trailer was... it was good. I think the gameplay of it is good. They did not fix the voice acting. That is for sure. That is like the one thing that's not very good about Breath of the Wild, is that for some reason they must have hired like the same voice actors that they do for all of their other anime games, because it is like the cheesiest, overacted, like, you know, if you're thinking like stereotypical anime things, it's like that bad. Especially Zelda. I don't know why.
I feel like it's nostalgic.
Maybe.
Just for Zelda, though, every other game, it's like, eh.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that was the first time Zelda had voice acting.
Yeah, it just felt right, but like, it's weird.
It's weird. And then in the trailer, it felt like I was watching like a Xenoblade commercial, which my prediction for Xenoblade DLC did come true.
Right.
Not going to report on it, but just
Love
saying.
Xenoblade.
Just saying, Xenoblade 3 did get its DLC, so someone out there is happy. But it was funny because there's like one shot in the trailer where like Link's riding like a big, it looks like a Banjo-Kazooie nuts and bolts car, and like people started making jokes, and then and then Rare released Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts on the Game Pass like a day
I
after.
predicted it.
It wasn't even like I don't know if it was a prediction thing, because the tweet made it sound like that they did it intentionally because of the Zelda trailer.
That's awesome.
Yeah, let me see.
I love that I brought that up last week and then that happened.
You did. Yeah, here's the tweet. Fan favorite, don't question it. Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts is available to enjoy whenever you please via Rare Replay, Xbox Game Pass, and backward compatibility. Just felt compelled to remind everyone, that's all. Not prompted by anything in particular. And that was on February 9th, so the day after the Nintendo Direct with that Zelda trailer. I thought that was pretty funny. I'm glad the Rare social media person is having a good time over there. But yeah, it looks good. I don't know how I feel about making cars if it is like that. If you can make cars, but I don't know. I'm just glad it wasn't delayed. That was kind of what I was expecting. I was expecting EGI Anuma to pop up and be like, actually, we need another year to do it. And in celebration, we are going to be re-releasing Skyward Sword. Because that's what happened last time. But no, it's still coming out in May. Looks like it is actually going to be released, which is nice. So there you go. That's it for the Nintendo Direct. Pretty solid, I would say. The Game Boy stuff is pretty good. Pikmin and Zelda. It was pretty decent. There was a lot of anime games, but that is to be expected at this point. I feel like all of the anime games are exclusively debuting on the Nintendo Directs now, because like I hardly ever see them on the Sony thing anymore. But maybe it's just been a minute since Sony's done their thing, and then as soon as a new one drops, I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, they also have a lot of anime games that nobody cares about. So I don't know. Well, let's talk about show news. Got some exciting show news. We got a live-action Spider-Man noir series is at work in Amazon. Wasn't expecting this. This is, I guess, technically the second Spider-Verse spin-off show, kind of, that is being made by Sony and Amazon. The other one is Silk Spider Society, which I believe I've talked about. I don't know much about Silk, but Silk is another like Spider Woman. I don't know as much about her, but I guess she's getting a spin-off show. But Spider-Man Noir is getting his own show, which I think is great because I love Spider-Man Noir. That whole noir run that Marvel did in like I think it was in the 2000s, was really weird and cool. Yeah, Uncle Ben, I think the way he dies in the noir universe is that he is killed by the Vulture, who is also a cannibal. So like he eats Uncle Ben. And I don't think that Spider-Man Noir generally web slings. I think he's just like a detective, and he uses guns. So he's a little different. He's kind of, I don't know if I want to say he's like Batman, because Batman doesn't use guns, but it's more along those lines. It's edgy. It's like dripping with atmosphere. They describe this show as an older, grizzled superhero in 1930s New York City. It is being written by Oren Uziel, who I wrote his previous works in a very specific order. It's also chronological order, but it does kind of show the downward trend of this guy's works. It started off with 22 Jump Street. Pretty good movie.
Banger.
My Name Jeff.
Classic.
This guy's responsible for it. So there you go.
That's awesome.
Next, he made the Cloverfield Paradox. It's all right. Not horrible, but fine. Wrote the Mortal Kombat movie. And then most recently, he wrote Lost City, the rom-com with Channing Tatum and Sandra Bullock. So it's definite. I don't know. None of these are like gritty dramas. These are all comedies, and Spider-Man Noir is not a comedy. So we'll see how that goes. Lord and Miller are going to be producing, so that's something. I do really like them, but again, those are two comedy men. I don't know. I don't know if this is exactly the right team that should be tackling Spider-Man Noir, but who knows? Maybe this will turn out pretty decent.
Just make it Nicolas Cage.
Nicolas Cage, I think they already announced it's not going to be him.
I'm not watching it, though.
I know, it should be. Nicolas Cage was great in Spider-Verse. Yeah. So I hope he's back in the new one. Although I don't think we've even seen any of the other Spider-Verse people besides Peter B. Parker and Spider-Gwen that are in the new Spider-Verse movie. So there's that. It's a promising premise. I don't know if I'm a little skeptical about it, but we'll see. We got some drama this week because there was going to be an episode of Doug Days released on February 10th. Doug Days, for those who may not remember, is the Up spinoff that they made on Disney that absolutely ruined the ending of the movie in the title sequence, where they sell the blimp and Carl just is in the neighborhood now, and Russell doesn't live with him, and it's It's just him and the dog. And I guess they were gonna release a new one that I was I was fully ready to tear to shreds because it kind of steps on the toes of one of the best intros to any movie ever. It was going to be a date episode with Carl re-entering the dating game.
He's like 10 million years old.
Yes. Also, does the ending of Up mean nothing to
Yeah.
these people?
They
Up
just
is
go back to normal life.
yeah, it's like I don't think any of these Disney people have seen Up cuz like what none of the spin-off like works with the ending of the movie. I just am kind of in denial of the whole thing. And ultimately the show is pretty forgettable, honestly. If it's not like horribly offensive to where it's like, oh, I don't even it completely disrespects the movie, but it's like just fine. It's not it's okay. But that was supposed to come out on February 10th, and it was delayed, and there has been no release date announced.
Like, I think we messed up with this one.
I don't know if that was what happened. I hadn't seen any outcry about this at all. I saw that it was going to come out, and then nobody talked about it. And then I was getting ready to watch it, and then it wasn't on Disney Plus, and then I had to look it up to see that it was delayed. Like I hadn't even seen it on any of like the film Twitter things that I follow. So I don't know. Maybe it's not gonna come out at all. Hopefully. Okay. I don't really like this idea. I don't think that Up should be touched at all. But I guess Disney is desperate, and we'll talk about that later when we get into movie news. Also, short little thing. Ted Lasso season 3 did get its premiere date announced. It is 1 month. Well, actually, a little under a month if you're listening to this. It's on March 15th. Ted Lasso season 2, pretty good, honestly. The first season was just kind of a cute little sports thing. And then the second season kind of did like a full dive into like mental health stuff, which I was not expecting at all from Ted Lasso. And it was like surprisingly good. So I'm cautiously optimistic approaching Ted Lasso season 3. I think I heard somewhere that this might be the last season. Or yeah. Which is weird because this is the only show that people are watching on Apple TV Plus.
Besides Severance.
Well, that's true. That is true.
I think those are the only 2 shows that Apple.
Yeah. Well, it's not the only ones they make, but it's the only one you ever hear people talk about.
People watch.
Yeah. I think I heard that the guy who's playing Nate, who is like set up to be the bad guy of this season, is like, no, they're making more seasons. But Jason Sudeikis says, no, we are not making any more seasons. And I'm going to trust Jason Sudeikis more than I'm going to trust the guy who's playing the bad guy in the show.
He's a bad guy in real life.
Because he's the bad guy. He's a bad guy. How can I trust him? And also,
method acting.
Maybe he is. And also, if they continue making the show without Jason Sudeikis, it's like, what's the point? Like, the whole draw of the show is Jason Sudeikis being this nice Midwest boy in ye olde England teaching people soccer, and he doesn't know any other rules. It's like, that's the whole gimmick. And he's very nice. And that's where the, like, cutesy element comes from. But yeah, very good. I'll probably watch it. I am kind of a sucker for the second season of that show, so I'll watch it. That's it for show news. We can talk about The Last of Us. Was this episode 5?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Episode 5, I forget what it's called.
Uh,
It's the Sam and Henry one.
yes.
What did you think of the Sam and Henry episode of The Last of Us?
It was very good.
Yes.
Like all episodes. I feel like the episodes that are odd numbered are gonna be just the bangers all season, because there's always like one gigantic like traumatic experience episode and then like just a chill episode in between.
Yeah.
I think that's their structure, which is good because like if they did this back to back to back, it would be like ruthless to get through.
No,
But
yeah, it's good pacing.
yeah, I think the setup last week of like this like new group taking over the Kansas City area like paid off this week. I like how they kind of connected it to that. I felt a little bit more connected than the game did.
Yes.
But yeah, I think Sam and Henry, both their performances were great. I don't think I knew those actors, but they did really good.
No, I hadn't seen either of them.
Yeah, but no, I absolutely loved it. I think I was worried at first because I'm like, okay, it's only an hour long. Like, are we really gonna get like the full like emotional grasp on these characters? Because I feel like you spend a lot more time with them in the game because of how much gameplay you have to go through with them.
Right. Yeah.
But I think it worked out pretty well, actually.
Oh yeah, I was a really big fan of how the episode was like how it changed from the game. Like I really liked Henry. Is it Henry? Henry's the little one? Or is Sam the Super Sam? Right? Which one is the kid?
And Henry's because Henry's like the whatever they call them, collaborator.
Yes, he's a rat. But I really liked Sam being deaf. I thought that added
Yes.
an interesting element to it. I mean, I don't know how much of I don't know how much of it is like. I mean, it's influenced probably by A Quiet Place, because like there's a character in that show that is deaf, and the monsters in that movie also are attracted to sound, much like the zombies in The Last of Us. So I'm sure there's a little bit of a tie there. But I really liked the change. It made the, I guess, spoilers. I know we talk about spoilers every single time.
This game is old. So,
Yeah.
But yes,
But-
we are going to talk about the story.
It makes the like the final confrontation, or not confrontation, just final conversation
Final setup,
between
yeah.
Sam and Ellie all the more impactful when they're communicating to each other, not verbally, but through this like quasi like little whiteboard thing that he has. I don't know exactly what it is, what that was. But it was something along the lines of something that they could erase and rewrite over. It was like more or less the same lines, but because there was just more suspense because you had to wait for people to rewrite it. It was very, very good. And I don't know how Ellie slept in the same room.
Yeah, she was like way too comfortable doing that.
Yeah. And then she was just like walked over to him as if she didn't know.
She should have known. Yeah.
It's like, I don't know if that was to set up that like maybe she genuinely thought that her blood could heal him in that moment.
That's probably what it was, yeah. I think just us knowing that like what happens, it was kind of like confusing.
Yes.
But yeah, that does make sense why she did that.
And
I don't know why she had so much faith in that, but
I don't know. But I guess you got to try it. I've been replaying The Last of Us 2, and there is a line in the first day of Seattle when Dina finds out that Ellie is immune. She says, "I can't get you sick, but my blood can't cure you either," which implies that she has tried it at some point, which is good if they are going to use that line in the second season of the show,
which I'm sure they will.
I'm sure they
That-
will,
yeah.
because they tend to keep like the big emotional moments more or less like 1-to-1 with how the game uses the dialogue.
Mhm.
If they're going to use that, then it's a good idea to set that up, because I don't think you see her try that in the first game. I think it's just implied that some time in between the two she must have tried it. But this is, I mean, it's a good setup. I thought that was really well done. I thought for like a second that maybe Henry wasn't going to kill himself. I knew he was going to, but like
I thought for a second, I'm like,
he like it didn't. He like kind of like put the gun aside, and it looked like he was going to give it to Joel, which I guess is the point. But yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting how they handled it afterwards too, because they almost kind of reversed the roles that Joel and Ellie had after the confrontation, where in the game, Ellie, you're walking to Jackson, gonna meet Tommy, and she wants to talk about it, and Joel's like, no, we're not gonna talk about it. Shit happens. You just move on. And that is more or less the attitude that Ellie has in the show. Not that Joel is itching to talk about it, but it's interesting that decision to make.
I think it makes more sense.
It does. Like it fits
Like
this
if you're a
show's
child that
Ellie.
experiences that, yeah, like you are not gonna be like, hey, let's talk about it. You're gonna be like, what just happened? We're gonna get depression Ellie for the next 2 episodes now. I
Yes.
think we're in that phase fully.
Which we didn't see the immediate aftermath of the
No,
Sam
There
and
was a
Henry thing.
time cut.
Yes, that is when it switches to fall.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a time jump. Maybe, I'm not sure if we're going to be getting a time jump now, or if they're going to keep the whole thing in summer.
I did see like a little bit of a like the next time episode or whatever.
Oh yeah.
I think there might be a time jump, but I
Okay.
don't think it's going to be drastic from what I could tell. But I didn't look at it too much.
Okay, yeah, I didn't look at that.
They show a lot in those. I'm like, why do they just like explain the entire episode? And
I don't know.
like, I already know what happens, so I don't mind watching it. But I'm like, why do they, why do they show so much?
Yeah, that's what I've never gotten that, where it's like, next time, this is exactly what you're going
I'm
to
already
see.
invested in the show. You don't need to like do like a breakdown of the next episode for me.
No, I'm
Do
going
a
to
5
stop.
second teaser maybe.
I'm going to stop watching right after what I just watched, because I'm not in
Yeah.
it at this
I'm
point.
done.
It's like, this episode was
They
boring.
killed my favorite characters that I've known for about an hour. I'm done.
I'm done. Yeah, it's interesting. One thing I think that's been really interesting about this show and how they've been doing it differently is that it seems like that in the game, all of the side characters are more or less building on the relationship of Joel and Ellie, where this show really seems to focus on the side characters to the point where Joel and Ellie's journey to eventually Colorado, it just seems like a just a vehicle so that we can explore these kind of side stories that are also happening, or they're
they've
giving
been
them
in the
like
game as
equal
well.
weight.
Yeah.
It's been really interesting seeing that.
Yeah. There's also like a lot of parallels, like that Henry and Joel conversation about like how he like ratted out like the leader of this like rebellion.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I did that for Sam.
Yeah.
Like Joel's gonna do the same exact thing
That's
in
right.
4 episodes. And I'm like, yep, that's
good
it.
setup.
It's like it's this selfish like I mean it's all down to like personal philosophy and stuff, but like
Sure.
it is like an overtly selfish act. But
Right.
like they also wrote like that, I forgot her name, but her character was very interesting. Like
Yeah, the
I liked
leader
her
of the
whole
Kansas
setup.
City. Yeah.
Yeah, I do think it's kind of stupid how like they succeeded in their revolution and then they threw it all away by like her being petty and going after Henry
Yeah.
for some reason. Like, I'm like, you were so good. You were doing so good. And then she was like, "We're gonna go after Henry with like our entire might." I'm like, "That is so stupid. Don't do that."
The thing that I
It's
think,
another selfish choice because of her brother. So
right.
like, all these selfish choices constantly happening in the show. It's really, really, really cool to see because it's building on this ending moment even more. Like, I feel like they're doing that a lot better than they did in the game. Because in the game, not gonna lie, the first time I played it, it came out of nowhere. I'm
Oh
like,
yeah.
that's how they end it.
Yeah.
But like now it's setting up for it like beautifully.
Yes. I think what was weird about that, I don't necessarily think that her writing was bad. It was just weird that the dude who played Tommy was like, "No, we're 100% behind you. Like everybody in our revolution, we're not going to
Yeah.
like actually do anything else. Our
Right.
100% of our priority is hunting this guy that killed your
Yeah.
brother."
Which is not true at all. That would not happen
No.
whatsoever.
No. Because like her, like I get it, right? Like that
Yeah.
that is the theme of
Yeah.
of the
I would have
game.
liked it better, I think, just for my own, like, like, because I love the world building and politics of these kind of shows.
Sure.
I'm like, I would have liked it better if it was her and, like, a couple of people
Right.
go out
Yeah.
and do that instead of, like, this entire militia. Because I'm like, that's just stupid. Like,
Wha-
you've done the hard part, and now you're being petty.
Right. And but like it does kind of like tie into like the theme of the show is that
Oh,
like
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
and I guess both games is that these like acts of revenge of like selfishness and not willing to give up on the past
Yes.
ultimately is your downfall.
Oh yeah,
Like,
I don't think she was written bad. I think it was just like an interesting choice where I'm like,
yeah,
that's strange. But like, yeah, it does make sense with like the selfishness like thing that's gonna go across this whole season. I'm
yeah,
sure we'll get more of it. It seems like it's been in like 3 or 4 episodes already.
yes, and and some of that is tying into the end of The Last of Us One, but it
It's
also
also
kind
tied in the
of
second season a lot, which is nice.
it feels like they are taking a swing at the first game using the same philosophy they kind of had for the second one.
Yeah, there's a lot more depth in here,
Yeah,
which is understandable because you can do that. But I'm enjoying it a lot more than like the game's way of telling the story so far, which I think is what it's meant for. I'm like, the game is still fantastic, but
yeah,
like it's what you can do in the confines of this medium. But
well, yeah.
I think they're killing it.
I think it's a rare opportunity that a artist such as Neil Druckmann gets an opportunity to take another swing at something that a lot of people think is like nearly perfect, and it's like what you don't want to just do the same thing again. So like what do you do, because the framework is so good. It's not like you're going back and you're like taking another swing at something that maybe didn't work well the first time.
Hmm.
It's like we are taking another swing at something that worked extremely well the first time. So what do? You just take what works and then just expand. You don't necessarily just do it again. You take those same ideas and then you just really just expand it to the whole world, which has been really cool because the game is more or less black and white. These raiders
Yep.
are all bad. They kill people and steal their shoes, and they ride around in a giant truck and murder everybody. Sam and Henry are just kind of incidentally there. In the show, it is completely understandable why this group acts this way. And Sam and Henry are not just there, and they have a great reason for being there and for being hunted
Hmm.
instead of just we want to
You
kill
can
them and
see
steal their shoes.
perspective from all character sides. It's good.
Yes,
It's very good. And
it's
that, like, with that being said, like, I feel like a lot of people for Last of Us 2 didn't like that it wasn't black and white. But,
yeah,
like, the way that they're doing a very nuanced story this time, I think, is great. You don't need to have, like, some really, really good guy as, like, the shining beacon of the show. Like, the
yeah,
messaging is, like, intertwined throughout everything, which is really nice.
yeah,
So it's like, and it's like, if you want a black and white zombie show, there's a ton of them. You got The Walking
right,
Dead, you got like all of these different zombie shows, where it is very much like, here's the good guy group, and then there's everything else. But yeah, no, this show is tackling it great. I'm glad that it's a TV audience because I feel like people are a lot more accepting to it than it would be if it was a game like we
Right.
saw with The Last of Us 2.
I feel
Other
it.
weird culture war stuff aside, people still
Yeah.
didn't like that game because of like how gray every character seemed.
Which is fine. Like you're allowed to
I could see
not
it.
like
Yeah.
it.
That's a valid criticism in
Sure.
the sea of like invalid criticism of that game.
Yes. Yes. And like I feel like that this is Druckmann's nuance at its finest because I feel
Yes,
like
absolutely.
even in The Last of Us 2, which really tries to take a swing at kind of creating these like real faction groups that would exist in a post federal government quarantine zone where it's like you have this kind of radical religious group which not far off from right now. It's like you
Yeah.
have that, and then you also have like these radical terrorists who hoard food and supplies and murder anybody who comes into town that isn't like them. Also, not very far from what we have now. But there is like it when you play as Abby, it's like okay, both of these sides are pretty bad. And it's like
Yeah.
that is like the there aren't a lot of good sides except for like the people that just find themselves in these groups. It's like the individual people are good, but the systems are bad. I feel like in the show, it's more like individual people are gray and the systems are gray. Like it is like, this is like peak. I don't know how to feel about this because like I can identify with these people, even if I don't identify with the methods, which is really great. It's very profound in that way.
It's portrayed well, so it doesn't feel muddy.
Right.
You still feel like you can have a proper take on most things.
Yeah. You can still root for Joel and
Yes.
Ellie,
Yeah.
but it's more like, okay, we're only rooting for Joel and Ellie because these people are trying to kill them. But it's like you could have a show just about the Kansas City group
Oh yeah, absolutely.
and have protagonists in the group. It's yeah. It's kind of it's a lot to think about, honestly.
It's so good.
Yeah, not what I was expecting from a video game adaptation. That
I'm
is
so
for
glad.
sure.
I'm so glad this is the way it turned out, though, because it deserved something like this.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm like really pumped for how they tackle Last of Us 2 because that is
Oh
going
yeah,
to be
that might be like the best season of TV if they do it right.
yeah, because that one like there are some issues I have with The Last of Us 2 on like a story level, but man, like there's so much there. There's so much potential in a concept like that. So
He has everything laid out. It's just can he portray it in a way that's less like
kind of
brash,
clunky. Yeah,
clunky.
it just it needed some pacing issues.
Yes,
And like
which is something you can do beautifully with TV. So,
yes, like even if they keep everything exactly the same, like half of the episodes are Ellie and half of the episodes are Abby. I feel like that would still work in a TV format. It's yeah. I'm just getting really excited for how they're gonna tackle
yeah, that's gonna be
the
sick.
second one, and and it gives me like a whole lot of kind of hope in this team that they're not willing to expand and build on more stories after The Last of Us 2. They aren't going to do a Game of Thrones. It's like they're going to put their all into these two seasons, make them the best they can be, and not worry about, like, well, HBO, or this is a super successful show, so we have to keep going. Like, the
Right.
Game of
If
Thrones should have
anything,
ended.
yeah. If anything, I'd love to see a spin-off like mini series of like Firefly Origin or
That
some
could
group
work.
somewhere. Just like a little tiny piece of it. It doesn't need to be like a continuation of like the main story.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there are a lot of interesting factions that you just don't get to know enough about. And especially at the pace this show is going, you're in and out of an area in an episode. I think Kansas City was like the longest we spent in one area, and that was like an episode and a half.
Yeah. Yeah. I would be really interested to see a period like 10 years after the infection where like the fireflies are still hot and like the federal government is still very much in control. Like what does life look like there? Because we've gotten that period a little bit with the Bill episode, but he's off doing his own thing. Like that was not
Yeah.
a state of the country at that point. And it's also not something we've seen a lot just in the franchise as a whole, because like we've gotten 20 years after, and the fireflies are dwindling, and also the federal government is losing a lot of control in major quarantine zones. And then by the time The Last of Us 2 rolls around, it seems like the federal government is more or less gone, and these kind of splinter groups have really kind of gained a foothold and are more or less in control of whole cities now. What was life like during this like huge turmoil, I think could be interesting. But I only want it if this team is involved. If Druckmann's involved and the Chernobyl team is still there, I feel confident that would be good. I don't want this to be handed off to another studio.
No.
Another head writer. Like, I don't trust anyone else with that. But, man.
I don't think they would either, just knowing like this is their most successful franchise.
Well, this is Warner Brothers Discovery we're talking about here. It
is, yeah.
They see a cash cow on their hands because this is super successful. So hopefully they have the good sense to keep the good people in the production, because they are absolutely killing it. I don't think we've had a show that we've had to talk about every single week, and it feels like it actually warrants discussion every week, because and we're spending like 20-30 minutes on this, and I mean some of that is that
we've each played the games like multiple times.
True. We are both very familiar with the source material. So yeah, I'm very interested what's going to be coming next. Are we going to finally meet Tommy? I forgot who's playing Tommy.
It's not the guy. Meet Tommy.
It's not the guy who voiced Tommy, because he's been in the show already.
Yeah.
Which he seems to be like a Nolan North or a J.G. Quintel, in that's just how he sounds. And that's okay. Troy Baker does not sound like that.
No. Yeah, we will see Tommy next episode. That's 100%.
That was in the coming next time, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, yeah, that's what comes next in the game. Which will be interesting. I wonder how are they gonna do the thing where Joel's like, I don't want to take her to the Firefly base because I'm scared of attachment. Are they gonna do that? Maybe.
Probably. It's kind of important.
Yeah. I don't know. They seem to be like changing like the minute-to-minute stuff with Joel and Ellie specifically. They kind of switch around how these moments happen. Because I'm sure we're gonna get a "I am not your father" thing. That
was some of that stuff was like literally in the teaser trailer of the show.
Perfect.
Like those settings. So we're definitely getting all of that stuff.
Great. I love spoilers in officially branded media.
They didn't like say it, but like I could tell like, oh, there's the house from where that thing happens.
Oh, okay.
Like the exact room. I'm like, yep, okay.
Great.
Awesome.
Right. Well, we'll have that to talk about. How they do that differently. It'll be interesting to see Jackson for the first time. I've always been a fan of Jackson. It seems like there's just genuinely nice and good people there. It seems like the settlements that we've seen that have nice people always end up dying, which I guess makes sense. But I don't know. I'm excited. It's gonna be good. It's been a while I've been this excited about a TV show. This might be the only time I've been this excited about a TV show, if I'm being honest. Even the Star Wars stuff that I do really resonate with the TV stuff, I was not as excited as I am about The Last of Us. But that is to be expected, I suppose. So, very good. We'll move on. We got some movie news. Speaking of Warner Brothers Discovery, the merger that keeps on giving, as we've talked about on the show, many TV shows have been canceled and removed from HBO Max because of this merger that they're going to be doing with Discovery Plus. Never mind. They are not going to be merging with Discovery Plus, and they have decided to keep Discovery Plus as a standalone streaming service. So, whoops. Maybe put those shows back on, because I want to show my girlfriend Close Enough, for Pete's sake.
Please, I want to watch Close Enough again.
Yeah. Stop it. Get some help. So there you go. That's one of the big things that caused a bunch of turmoil. They just decided to not do that. So I don't know if they're going to undo a lot of their oopsies, but probably not. I don't trust this company at all. So there's that. Speaking of bad companies, let's talk about Disney. It was funny. Not funny, but there was like 4 tweets that came out in like rapid succession. It was announced that Disney Plus lost 2.4 million subscribers in Q1 of 2023. Immediately after that, Disney announced that Zootopia 2 is in the works. Frozen 3 is in the works. And most disappointingly, Toy Story 5 is in the works.
Don't forget the 7,000 layoffs that they did in that same movie.
That was coming next. That was the next bullet point I had. So, not only are they just digging up old franchises in order to make a quick buck, they hired a bunch of the people that would have been making those movies. So, I'm sure they're going to be great.
You've heard me talk about this on the show before. I will not go over it again.
Yeah. It's a little rough. Toy Story 4 was already unnecessary. Toy Story 5, what are you even going to do with that? Is it going to
They
be...
fired all the people, so I'm sure the new people will come up with something.
Are they going to put Tim Allen in it?
Probably if he's cheaper.
Do you
I
think
mean, he does have a Santa Claus show, so
that's true? He's still in Disney's good graces.
Disney, yeah.
It did get a second season. So,
Wow.
I don't know. Someone's watching it. But I feel like Disney always does that. They have like a show that's moderately successful, and then they do like 2 or 3 seasons of it. Like there was,
Well, I mean, like Tim Allen is like the conservative guy, so I'm sure all the dads that have Disney Plus are like, yeah,
finally something for me.
finally something for the man.
Watch a goofy movie. Be a better dad.
Real.
Yeah. I don't know. Because like, didn't Buzz and Woody split up in Toy Story 4?
I think so.
Wasn't that like Buzz went back with the little girl, but Woody went off with Bo Peep, and they were gonna like rescue toys or whatever.
Yeah, I think so.
How are you gonna have a Toy Story movie that doesn't have Woody and Buzz or like I guess you could do split storylines, but like
this is maximum potential. It's Toy Story, but they're all new toys.
Oh,
that means you got franchise like you can build that out. You got 1, 2, 3 movies out of that. Like that's big brain thinking. Right
are they MCUing Toy Story right now?
Why not? That's the multiversification of all things is the hot thing right now. If you're a gigantic conglomerate, because you have so many IPs that you can just like throw out trash every 2 months and people eat it up.
That is true. I did see that I think Kevin Feige put out a statement that's like, we're going to be putting out less Marvel TV shows just to let each of them shine. I'm sure it has nothing to do with the 7,000 layoffs that just happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just let Pixar do their own thing. They've been making pretty decent movies over the past couple years. Turning Red was pretty good. Soul was, it was pretty, I like Soul a lot. It's a good movie. Luca's okay. Nothing crazy. But yeah, just keep letting them do their new movies. I hate when Disney's like, make this a franchise. Tell me one thing about Finding Dory. And then tell me that making sequels to 15-year-old movies is a good idea.
Make a sequel about the octopus and Finding Dory.
I don't want. Don't tempt them. They're gonna make a Disney Plus show about the octopus and Finding Dory.
Yeah.
You just wait. They're gonna be making A Bug's Life 2. So soon.
That would be kind of, you know.
This one is
Be
about a
better
different
than like
Kurosawa
rehashing something.
This
This is
one,
a Bug's Life too. It's about a different Bug's Life.
it's a different Bug's Life, and it's not based on Seven Samurai. This one's based on The Hidden Fortress,
Yo,
a different Kurosawa movie.
this one's based on the Iliad.
That would be pretty good. They just need to keep rehashing these classical works.
Yes.
Not that the Seven Samurai is a classical work.
The Bible.
The Bible bug form. That would
The
be
Torah
awesome.
Bug's Life.
The Torah Bug's Life. But none of them need to be like outwardly like, this is the Bug's Life Bible. It's just like, this is Bug's Life 3, but this one, if you know, it's the Old Testament. Like, that would be pretty fun. Because, like,
That would be kind of fun.
it's never addressed that the first Bug's Life is Seven Samurai. It's not, like, based on the Kurosawa movie Seven Samurai. It's just, if you know, you know. There's a great Breadsword video about it. How Bug's Life is literally Seven Samurai. I highly recommend it. It's very good. So, there you go. Disney and Warner Brothers hijinks. They are afoot. There was a trailer for The Flash that came out. I forgot about this. I didn't write it down. So we do get to see Michael Keaton as Batman again. He looks like he'd rather be anywhere else.
Yeah, he looked kind of rough.
I like Michael
It's
Keaton
like the
a
mask
lot.
didn't fit his face. It was weird.
It was like, okay, so I didn't watch the trailer. I'm not going to see this movie, even though I like Michael Keaton as Batman a lot. Is the gimmick that he is like traveling through time and he's like dredging up Michael Keaton Batman from 1989? Or is this like a modern, this is what Michael Keaton's Batman would be now if that timeline continued?
I have no idea.
Because Michael Keaton doesn't look like he looked in 1989. He's an old man now. So I don't know. Also, Michael Keaton was in Birdman, and the whole thing about Birdman is that it's about a guy who used to be a superhero in the 80s, and then he disappeared for a while, and then he does a theater show to try to regain his celebrity, kind of like a wink and a nod, because that's actually what happened with Michael Keaton, and it's kind of weird to see him go back to being Birdman, you know? I don't know. There was someone else. There's like a Superman in it. Well, Ben Affleck is back as Batman. Which, you know, whatever. As long as Zack Snyder's not writing him, I don't have a problem with Ben Affleck as Batman. Just don't let him kill people. Like, it's that easy. Matt Reeves understands this. I know that the Batman has kind of become the dude bro movie of 2022, but like, there's a reason. It's a pretty good Batman story. It might be it's probably top 3, being honest. But yeah, they're doing something. I think is there a Supergirl in it? There's something. I don't care. I just know that there's like 3 Ezra Millers in it, and I saw a funny meme that was like
They're multiplying.
Hawaii police when they watched the Flash trailer, and it was like, oh no, now there's
No,
more
there's
of
3
them.
of them.
Like, oh, that's good. That's
They
good.
will forever be a menace.
Yeah, I don't understand how this movie's coming out. Like, how are we overlooking kidnapping? Like, is this? I get that we overlook Chris Brown when he like repeatedly physically assaults women,
Yeah.
because like, yeah, it's bad. I don't condone it. I don't like Chris Brown at all, but like, it kind of makes sense because people think he's dreamy. I guess people also overlook R. Kelly's whole shtick, but like,
Yeah, R. Kelly is like much scarier.
yeah, man, but kidnapping, like human trafficking, is that
They were
not
just
where we
pulling
draw the line?
They were just pulling a prank. It's all in good faith. It's all part of method acting.
It's so weird. Like, I'm seeing like tweets from James Gunn where he's like, "The Flash is like literally one of my favorite superhero movies," and I'm like, I would have trusted you like a year ago, but now you're working for him, so I can't trust your superhero movie takes at all. Unless it's like about a Marvel thing. If it's about a Marvel thing, I trust James Gunn. If he says this is a good movie, unless it's Guardians of the Galaxy 3, because I think he's contractually obligated to say this is a good movie.
Yeah.
But if it's like, wow, our competition is making really good stuff, then it's like, okay, I believe James Gunn in this instance. But if it is like, man, this movie that I helped make is really good, it's like, okay, I am financially incentivized to tell you that this DC movie that I am figureheading is really good. Okay. But is the Flash going to be the Ant-Man and Wasp Quantumania start of something new that everybody seems to be wanting these days?
Both movies are gonna be incredibly mid.
I think I have, weirdly enough, I have more faith in the Flash than I
I
do.
do too. Ant-Man movie looks awful.
It looks bad. No hate on Paul Rudd. I love Paul Rudd. He's great. But wow. It looks
Spy Kids 3 looking movie.
I'm not going to say it looks worse than Spy Kids 3 because that's not true.
It doesn't, but it looks too similar.
Yes, it is weirdly similar to a movie that came out 15 years ago.
Yes. A rather good movie, but
I don't. So here's the thing. I don't want to criticize all the special effects and stuff in Marvel things because it is a well-known fact at this point that Marvel more or less has a stranglehold over visual effects offices in
who would
LA.
have thought?
Yeah. And working conditions when you're working for Marvel are very, very bad, and they expect rushed deadlines and basically like what do they call it in video games when they do that? Crunch. Yeah, they do that heavy for
Yes.
Marvel VFX. So
Because they can.
yes, they have a. I don't want to say they have a monopoly, but like DC's not putting up much of a fight right now.
Yeah.
So they can do that, and they make the most money. So they can do that. So I don't want to come out and say that the special effects for Ant-Man and Wasp Quantumania look bad, because of course they do. They were bred in a hostile
Direct your
environment.
anger during Marvel and not the special effects department.
Yes, that
would
is
be the correct
yes.
way to go about it.
It doesn't look good, but I don't blame the VFX people.
Yeah, this is just squashing the talent of like brilliant visual effects people by just like hammering them into the ground.
Yeah, I've like had listened to interviews with VFX people. There's a couple regulars on the Red Letter Media team that are guests, but they are VFX that are based in Toronto, and they have some really great insights on how all of that works. and especially one of them, Colin. He actually worked on the what was the Hulk? It wasn't the Ang Lee Hulk from like 2003. It was like the is it the Incredible Hulk? The
Mm,
the the more gritty one that came
I
out
think so.
before the
Yeah.
MCU stuff.
Yeah, like 2008 or something.
Yeah, he worked on that one. So he has like experience working on superhero movies. So his stuff is very interesting when it comes to how that world works. And it's not good. Turns out it's
It's
not
grimy.
good. So yeah, movie news has been a little bit of a downer this week. I did watch 2 movies this week. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about them because this podcast is already long because the Last of Us talk. But I watched um, one movie called Freaks from 1932, and I watched one movie called Pacific Rim from recently. I think it was 2013 or something.
Something like that.
Yeah. A Guillermo del Toro flick, believe it or not. It did not seem like a Guillermo del Toro movie at all. I thought that it was like while I was watching it, I'm like, this seems like a movie that like a filmmaker would make in a one for them, one for me type deal. Because it has like none of the hallmarks of great Guillermo del Toro movies. And maybe it's because it's a sci-fi movie and doesn't have any fantasy elements in it or horror elements. But it was like so formulaic. Like and people like this movie, but
People love that movie.
yeah, it's like, I think to me, there's like nothing I am more indifferent about than big beast destroy city, big mech fight big beast. It's part of the reason why I didn't really gravitate to Evangelion, even though that show is way more than that, but that is like the framework that it's set in. Yeah, I've like never been a fan of the like King Kong or Godzilla things. It's just like any type of like disaster porn stuff, like I just do not care about at all. Like Roland Emmerich stuff, like Independence Day or Moonfall. I don't who likes these movies? I don't know. And like it was just like I felt like I was watching a movie that I'd already seen before. And that's like the worst thing I can say about any movie because it's just like, ugh, like everything was so played out. It's like the mechs, they have to be piloted by 2 people and they have to be compatible. Otherwise, it's bad because their brains are like synced up. And so it starts off, and the main character, who's like the most milk toast white boy I've ever seen, and his brother, another milk toast white boy I've never seen.
It's like Transformers.
It's basically Transformers, yeah. Because then the brother dies,
Yep.
and then the pilot
Linkin
works.
Park plays.
He works in construction for like 5 years because he doesn't want to pilot any more mechs. And then Idris Elba comes in and is like, "Yo, I need you to pilot the mech because we're gonna do a secret mission." And so then he learns to pilot the mech again and have a new co-pilot who's this like I don't remember her shtick. She's like spoilers for Pacific Rim. She's Idris Elba's like adopted daughter, but that's like kept a secret. And I don't think you necessarily would see it coming because Idris Elba is not Chinese and this woman is. So it isn't like readily apparent that like, oh, they're father and daughter. But yeah, they learn to sync up. And what I will give this movie that is I guess a little better than movies that are like this is that it's never outwardly said that it's a romantic relationship between milk toast white guy and Idris Elba daughter. It's just implied that they're just good friends and they just are compatible with each other in the mech. Like even at the end, and they both, spoilers for Pacific Rim, they both survive the big mission because
What? They
what?
survived the rim?
I know they survive the rim and they win in the end.
Let's go.
They just hug. Like there's no like big kiss with swirling orchestra
Asexual
music.
representation.
I don't know if it's asexual representation. I'm just glad that like the female character wasn't the reward for the male protagonist, as is very common in movies like these.
Megan Fox.
Megan Fox, Dreamboat.
In
Megan
that one scene in Transformers, everybody knows the one.
The one where she's working on a car.
Where she's
What?
fixing the car.
A what? A woman?
And then Linkin Park plays like 3 times.
I would say that Megan Fox wouldn't date Shia LaBeouf in real life, but she is currently dating a worse Shia LaBeouf in real life. So
I think they broke up.
did they really?
I think so.
Oh no. This is horrible to me.
Yeah.
Oh wait. Well, they were spotted out together yesterday for the first time since sparking breakup rumors.
Ah, okay.
Megan Fox and Machine Gun Kelly haven't called off engagement, but she took her ring off.
The Boy Time podcast is adding a new segment for celebrity gossip that nobody cares about.
That's right. We're a tabloid channel now.
We're switching. We're switching our media outlook.
So that's the one thing I'll give Pacific Rim. And I kept waiting for when the credits came. I'm like, okay, so this is just gonna be like Guillermo del Toro. He like just came in and was like a director for hire, because it does not seem like a Guillermo del Toro movie at all. He wrote it, he produced it, he directed it. It is entirely his fault. It's like what happened? The one good thing about this movie is that Charlie Day is in it, but he just plays like a scientist who thinks that these monsters are rad as hell, which I guess makes sense. It is so weird. In this movie, there is like this fandom for these monsters that destroy entire cities, that like there are like late night talk show parodies where people come out in giant monster suits and destroy model cities. And it's like millions of people die in these cataclysmic world events where just at any time a monster could rise up from the Pacific Ocean and murder an entire coastline population. And let's joke about it. And let's like fanboy over these monsters that are wiping out the entire human population. It is like so disconnected. And Charlie Day is like, he has tattoos of them because he thinks they're so cool.
Oh my god.
It's like, what the hell? And this guy is like working on the team trying to take them down. And he's like, I would love to see a kaiju in real life. Like, no, why? If you did, you're dead. Like, they shoot acid out of their mouths. Like, you see one and it just murders you. So I didn't much care for Pacific Rim, which was funny because like I was like in a depressive episode, so like I need something like dumb, but like it's a Guillermo del Toro movie, so there's gonna be something I latch onto, and it just made me more mad.
That's awesome.
So there's that. I didn't think I was gonna talk about Pacific Rim that much. I'm definitely not going to talk about Freaks that much because I'm going to be treading on broken glass talking about this movie.
Mm-hmm.
This movie came out in 1932. It is about... I'm going to have to be real careful with my word choice. It is about a like freak show at a carnival. So, you know, disabled people. But I guess it was the 30s. I don't know if freak shows were still going on in the 30s. It seems like a kind of like late...
There were human zoos going on until like the mid 50s. So,
oh, okay. So then,
yeah.
yes, I guess that this was things that was still happening. But the crux of the movie, I will give the movie this. It in no way is like dehumanizing to the disabled people. It is entirely the bad guys in this movie are like the humans that are taking advantage of the disabled people for being disabled, which is like very not what I was expecting from a movie from 1932. But I guess they were ahead of the curve, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, the crux of the movie, as it were, there's a little person who falls in love with a trapeze artist, who is like, she's like called Cleopatra. She's like one of the most beautiful women in the world, and he's head over heels for her, and he like buys her gifts. It is like he has a lot of money, and she is just using him for his money, and like she thinks that she can get away with it because, well, he's a little person, he's funny, look at him, ha ha, laugh. But what she doesn't know is that all of the disabled people in this carnival, I don't want to say it's a cult, but they have there's like an indoctrination scene when the trapeze artist and the little person get married, and they're like, one of us, and they all like spit into a big goblet, and then they expect the trapeze artist lady to drink it. And I'm like, that's weird. And so then she like blows up and she's like, one of you freaks, I'm never gonna become one of you. And that breaks the little person's heart. And then the group of disabled people kind of band together and murder her boyfriend and horribly disfigure her for the rest of her life. Yeah. It's an interesting movie. I'll give it, it's an hour long. So you're in and you're out, but it did make me a little uncomfortable because it is I have to be really, really careful here because it's not like, but they like the people that they picked to play these like people in like a freak show. I'm like, they probably like went to like a real freak show at that time and then just like hired
Oh,
them,
absolutely. Yeah.
because like there are people that, and some of these people might be like war veterans because there are like people that are missing limbs. There's a guy who is just a torso, which I think I looked him up, and he was like from Africa. Like he's an African man, and knowing the European practices that were going on in Africa in the early 1900s, my guess is that some European colonist cut off his legs and his arms and he somehow survived. But
That was regular practice, actually.
yeah, it was like seeing some of that was like, it was like kind of genuinely disturbing to see these having such a hard time because I don't want to like come off as disparaging because it's horrible that these things happen to them, but also like this movie doesn't shy away from like showing them just living their life, which I thought was pretty cool. Like it showed the guy who was, he's known as the human torso or the living torso, I think, when I looked him up. And he just does everything with his mouth. And there's like a scene where you see him like light a cigarette using nothing but his mouth, and it was pretty g-dang impressive. And like he has like one line in the whole movie, and he's like, "I can do anything with my mouth." Like, I bet that's the only thing you got. But yeah, there's just a scene with like a bunch of disabled people with like knives going to town with on this trapeze lady, and it was uncomfortable, but I think that was the point.
I would imagine so.
It was the point, but you know, I was impressed with it because the point of the movie was never, haha, look at these disabled people, aren't they funny because of their disability. Because like a lot of them, I don't want to say a lot of them, But like some of them you could tell were just like just genuinely disabled, like they were born that way. They probably have like some mental stuff going on. And I was like surprised that the movie never like took time to be like, haha, look at these people, aren't they stupid? And it just seemed like that they were just genuinely people and they showed them as such. And I'm like, okay, cool. I like it. I don't want to see them murder. And that part maybe is on the line for me because the whole movie they're shown to be like, these are real people and this is just how they live. And then at the end it's like but also they do murder. So maybe don't trust them. And maybe they aren't humans like you and me because we would never murder. In fact, the poster that I've been going over and viewing all these movies, 1,500 movies to watch, it has this movie in the cult section, which I don't necessarily know how I feel about that because it's not a cult in the traditional sense in that like it serves one person and that he's kind of exploiting and I guess profiting off of the lesser people in the cult. It just seems like a group of people who band together because the society around them is not going to accept them, so they have to, stick together. So I don't know. And also, it's listed as a horror movie, and like there is like no elements of horror. It's just that these people exist. So like it's a movie that's hard to talk about. But it's on HBO Max, so if you want to watch it, it's really short, and it's pretty good. I don't know. It's decent enough. So, yeah, not raving reviews this week like I had for MZ and whatever happened to Baby Jane. But yeah, just a couple movies that were mid to me. So it can't all be winners, I suppose. But that's it for that's it for my segment. We'll move on over to the music segment now.
I did watch the 1985 Clue movie.
Why did you watch the 1985?
I don't know.
Clue
She
movie?
wanted to watch Clue on like Sunday night. I'm like, all right.
All right.
We'll
How was
watch
it?
Clue. It was fun.
Did
It's
you?
very campy.
That movie famously has many endings, I believe.
Yeah, we watched the one that had all endings in it.
Oh, all endings. Okay.
Yeah, they combined all of them.
Interesting. Okay. I haven't seen any of the. I don't think I've seen that movie with any of the endings, but that movie has Tim Curry in it, right?
Let me see.
It's the guy who was.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's also Michael McKean's in that movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a very young Chuck. I did not know it was him until I looked up the cast. I'm like, oh,
That's awesome.
that does not look like him. But it's very campy, but like it's fun. It takes like a dark comedy element to the Clue thing, which is funny. It's a classic 80s movie. I forgot how much like Red Scare Cold War stuff was in it because I like shoehorned like like they were like my sister's nephew is friends with a socialist, and everybody just gasps. I'm like, that's awesome.
Some of that might be like satire, though.
It is.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Because like the thing is, like all these people are like, obviously like Colonel Mustard is like a high ranking like military officer, and then someone's like a senator's wife that has been doing like shady stuff. So like they all have like political power or government power in some notion, and then like one of the endings, the butler like turns them all in to the police. Oh. So it's interesting.
Yeah,
but
that is interesting.
Yeah, it's an interesting movie. I mean, it's a fun little campy thing that you don't really have to think too much about. Mm-hmm. It has a lot of like classic like 80s movie tropes that are funny. So I mean, it was pretty decent.
Yeah, that's cool. I have not seen that one. Maybe I'll.
I think I fell asleep for like 15 minutes, like the like 3/4 in. So there might have been something that happened in there that I didn't pick up. But
okay.
It was like 11 o'clock at night.
Oh, okay. So you watched it like really late.
Yeah, we started at like 10:30 or something. I don't know.
Oh, great.
But it was pretty decent.
All
It's
right.
rated PG, by the way. I don't know how it was rated PG. They literally shoot people, like, and you see it.
No, the first Indiana Jones movie is rated PG.
That's true.
There wasn't a
Yeah.
PG-13 at that time. So as long as you didn't say fuck twice, like
Yeah,
it's
true.
yeah, it was
Like the
a
Blues
slippery
Brothers.
slope.
The Blues Brothers is rated
Right.
R, I think, but it's only because they're swearing in it.
Yeah. Yeah. The 80s when they were just figuring out like the
They were just
MPAA,
throwing random ratings on things.
they had no idea what they were doing. They were given like slasher movies like
Yeah.
PG until like the like Friday the 13th scare, and then they're like, we need to rate these NC-17.
Jeez.
Yeah, they were figuring it out as they go.
Yeah.
Not that the MPAA makes sense now, but they really didn't make sense in the 80s.
No, but it's at least more consistent now.
Yeah, we at least know the rules
Yeah.
for the most part. There are still some PG-13 movies that have two fucks in them. I don't know how
True.
that happens.
Breaking the rules.
I don't know what makes those movies the exception, but because The Martian famously has two of them in it. It's PG-13. Don't know how they snuck that in. It's very interesting. But unless you have any other movies, I think that'll.
No, I think that was the only movie we watched.
Okay.
Music. Didn't There is a lot of stuff that came out this week. I did not listen to a lot of the stuff that has come out yet, so I'll be a little slow on that. Well, one of them is going to be it's already on the wheel. Someone reserved the spot for it. But the new Caroline Polachek record came out yesterday.
Yeah.
So we will be putting that on the wheel because I know
It's on the
people asked for
wheel.
it before it even came out. So
Yeah.
but it's getting insanely good reviews, so I'm excited for that one. But Paramore released their new album.
Oh, did
this
they?
week. Yes. This is why. It's actually like a post-punk record. It's really good.
Okay.
Surprisingly, I was like, okay, I might check out this Paramore record, but like then I saw people like actually reviewing it really high. I'm like, okay, I'll check it out. But it is very like dance and like post-punky, which is awesome.
Yeah.
I think it's only 30 minutes, so it's pretty short, sweet kind of post-punk pop album. But Hayley Williams is fantastic as always. There's still that kind of punk edge to her vocals here, even though like the songs are a little bit more kind of dancey. But yeah, I mean, this thing's really great. It does remind me a little bit of like that Always record from last year. I like that we're kind of going back and merging like the new style of kind of indie pop with post-punk and like dream pop. It's working very well. Yeah, but this thing's pretty great. I think like I forgot which song. One of the songs was kind of annoying. I don't remember which one it was, but all the rest were like fantastic. The opener's great. The last like 6 through 10 is pretty fantastic. There's like a wide range of styles in there, and it's weird because like Paramore hasn't really fallen off. They've been kind of killing it since like 2007. I know they have like a whole bunch of different lineup changes, but I think this is their second album with this kind of trio.
Yeah, I think. Well, this one is their. I mean, it's been 5 years, so like this is
Yeah.
kind of their comeback one. You know, there's
little
people have
bit,
been
yeah.
waiting for it. Yeah,
This is the longest gap they've had
yeah,
between records. But yeah, I mean, it's really great. I was expecting it to be pretty decent, but like it turned out a lot better than I thought it would. So definitely check that out if you want some easy post-punk kind of poppy listening. It's not even like nerdy post-punk. It's like, Talking Heads kind of dancey post-punk.
Oh, okay.
Which is nice without like the weird, vocals, obviously. But
Yeah.
that was good. That was surprising. There is a new Kalela record. I think that's how you say her name. She dropped an album this week. I do need to listen to this one. Apparently she's like insane, but like only released one other album in 2017, so not a lot of people like remembered about her. But more like R&B, kind of like dancey electronic stuff, I think. So I'm interested in that as well, so I'll give that a listen this week probably. And Rebecca Black released her debut album like 13 years after Friday came out.
Oh, great.
she's like actually killing it now though. She does like dance pop and hyper pop stuff.
That makes sense. That
It's getting
tracks.
really good reviews. Or pretty decent reviews at least. She's like very much so like what you expect her to turn into as like a musical artist in like the current day. That's exactly what she is. Like it makes so much sense of like the evolution into where she's at. So
Yeah.
so I might end up listening to that. We'll see. It'll be on my radar if I'm feeling like something new.
Feeling spicy.
Yeah. But that's what came out this week. So I do need to listen to the Kalela record. So I'll talk about that next week. I haven't been listening to a lot of music. I did listen to System of a Down's Toxicity. We had a great Valentine's date playing Power Wash Simulator and listening to System of a Down. So
that sounds awesome, actually.
That was great.
Yeah.
Metal helps in Power Wash a lot.
Does it?
There's a different energy going on when you got that going. But obviously, Toxicity is a classic. I loved the sound of it. I just haven't given it like a deep, full listen to like really give a good reaction or kind of review of it. I will say like right off the bat, like obviously Chop Suey and the title track are just absolute classics. And Aerials. But like Deer Dance, I absolutely adored. That song was awesome. System of a Down's so weird because they will go like heavy political, and then the next song will be like Bounce, where it's just like a really fun new metal like weirdo song.
Oh, okay.
So it's very interesting. But I mean, Serge is such a good frontman. Like the amount of personality in his vocals is absolutely nuts. Like everybody knows the System of a Down guy's voice.
Oh yeah.
And it's fun, it's quirky, but it hits hard too when it needs to. So definitely like System of a Down. I'm getting like my little new metal, Mount Rushmore before I move on to like other stuff because like I know I don't like new metal, so I'm picking out those few new metal albums that I actually enjoy.
What do you mean you don't want to listen to Limp Bizkit and Korn?
I don't.
Oh no.
I don't.
Shame.
Yeah, Korn especially. Limp Bizkit at least has like 2 or 3 like decent songs. Korn is just annoying.
Oh, okay.
That's gonna make some people mad, but
That's
it's
fine. Yeah.
Korn is like the thing you listen to in middle school and then look back on it and be like, ew.
Why did I like that?
Why did I like that? I feel like that's a lot of like trashy new metal stuff though.
Yeah.
A lot of people are like that. But yeah, I might go back and listen to their self-titled debut album too. But and Mesmerize. I think Mesmerize is rated really high too. That one has BYOB on it. I love BYOB. But yeah, System of a Down's pretty sick. I do need to give it more listens though. That's pretty much it that I've been like listening to. I haven't really been listening to a lot of music, so.
Okay. I haven't either.
Yeah.
Well, I do.
Boy Genius album comes out in like a month and a half, so.
It's coming.
I guess we're waiting for that.
Yeah, that's the only thing on my radar right now, I think.
Yeah. I guess Swans just announced the UK tour and they showed the new lineup, so that album might be coming sooner than June.
Maybe.
Maybe, because I think a song leaked last Friday too on accident.
Whoops.
And they got taken down right away. But I mean, so that might be coming sooner than June. Maybe. Now that they're like teasing stuff and it's only mid-February. But we'll see what happens there. Also, Gex just posted that there's going to be a new song tomorrow. So
okay.
I'll have that to review next week because our timing is great always. See, we're even recording a day late, and the timing is still being bad.
Well, it's like, why are they releasing it on Thursday?
Yeah, exactly.
Does that mean it's going to be out at 11 tonight?
No, I think it might be like a noon release. I know like when they do it on, yeah.
Yeah.
When does that album come out?
Have they announced
March
when
17th.
that comes out?
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think there was a new Lana Del Rey song too, but I didn't listen to that.
Yeah, we all know your relationship.
Yeah, we all know my Lana Del Rey opinions. Doesn't the Gorillaz album come out this week? February 24th, next weekend. Or next Friday.
I like Cracker Island.
Cracker Island.
I don't know what to expect with that one.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I haven't been listening to new stuff. I've been going back to Sling. It's been getting a little warmer.
Mm-hmm.
Got a heat wave, 40s and stuff, which is perfect Sling weather.
Real.
So I've been throwing
I've
that
been
on.
listening to a lot of King Giz.
Yes, that would be a good one too. I should throw on some paper mache.
Yes, that's so good. I've listened to that album a lot.
It's probably my favorite. Like, the more I listen to it,
It's growing
like,
on me more and more.
yeah, I really like that record. But well, this week we got His Spun came out, Boy Time Channel.
Yes, sir.
Retrospective coming soon, next week, and then we're doing Deer Hunter.
Deer Hunter.
Don't know how much we're gonna do the viewer marathon.
Could do a couple more weeks.
Yeah,
Doesn't need to be. Yeah.
I don't know what we're gonna do to finish it out. We usually do something.
We'll think of something, I'm sure.
We'll come up with something.
Yeah. But we'll get back to our wheels soon.
Yeah, I got some stuff on there I've been waiting for.
It's hard with the viewer wheel because it's such a wide range that like it's impossible for someone joining the channel to be like, what's coming next? Because it's something completely random.
Yeah.
No matter how popular or unpopular it is.
Right. It seems like we go from like videos that get 50 views to like over 1,000. So it's like, we keep you on your toes a little bit.
Yes. It makes our analytics look great.
Oh yes, that is true. Yeah. So there's that. I think that's it. I don't know what's going to be going on next week. I don't think we have anything announced. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. It'll be exciting. It'll be a big surprise. I'll go watch The Flash, and then I'll come back and tell you. I'll go to the press screening, and then I'll break the NDA and tell you all about it.
Let's go. Praxis.
Yes, I'll send an email to James Gunn. I'll tell him I liked all of his movies, even Super. And I'm sure he'll give me a press.
He'll know that you're just sucking up the...
Nobody likes Super.
Nobody liked that movie.
Someone likes Super. Someone out there. It's a
Anyone?
I don't know. It's the one that has like Rainn Wilson as like a superhero. Like wears a red suit. I remember seeing it around like video stores, like late in my video store career, as all that stuff was dying. But yeah. All right. Well, I'll watch Super and I'll let you know how it is. Bye.